Hi, I'm Chris Nessie from the House of EdTech Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to right now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Bryon Carpenter. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood to take in podcast content or an audiobook, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at FreshAirAtFive or check out my website, BryonCarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected. Hey, PLN, it is Monday, January 25th. 2021. Out here for Fresh Air at 5. It's above zero. The snow didn't fly as expected, and I'm very happy about that because I can get out, get for my walk, and enjoy some fresh air this morning. All right, this morning on Fresh Air at 5, I listened to, check this out, episode 138 with Brian Briggs and Ryan O'Donnell. So thank you, gentlemen, for sitting down and recording. You guys have been struggling. The name of their episode was Ain't Got Time for That. And they were talking about just the impact of hybrid teaching and the demand on their time. All right, well, gentlemen, you had a fantastic episode, solid episode. Really enjoyed it. I appreciate your vulnerability telling us that it is hard being an educator today and the demands on our time and engaging our students through the screens and also the face-to-face in your buildings and all the things that go on with education today. All right, they talked about Google Lens and how it's useful. They talked about craft text, so they can use special text and fonts and things like that. A whole lot of other awesome technology stuff they talked about. And for having a struggle getting the content together, you guys did fab. Appreciate it. And guess what? I'm walking along the street here just outside of Moose Jaw, Alberta. No, that's not even Moose Jaw, Alberta. It's Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. No, I'm actually in Abbotsford, BC. And that's an inside joke. And enjoying your time together. All right, gents, have a fantastic day and be encouraged. You know what? We're all in this thing together. Stick with those same 4 golf clubs you got going on. Don't innovate a whole lot if you don't need to get through this time, but do what you do and do it well. All right, have a great day. Okay, bye. One more thing, January 25th, 2021, and I just wanted to say that this past weekend, I got the privilege of being a guest host with Jen Giffen on her and Kim Polishuk's show, Shooks and Giff. Kim's away right now, and Jen had me come on, and we talked tech, talked life, and talked all kinds of things. So just to review a few of those things that we talked about background image removal using a smattering of tools, including Slazer. Thank you, Eric Geist, for that share. For Pixlr, for Remove BG, for Icon 8, something like that. And then I talked about Adobe Spark Post and how you can use that to remove backgrounds because it's in there right now. Fantastic. We talked about QR codes. We talked about IORAD for creating tutorials. And there was another one that Jen talked about that I've forgotten about. I'm sorry, Jen, but it's in my show notes. Actually, it's in show notes for Shooks and Giff, Season 5, Episode 5. It's actually Season 4, Episode 5. Okay. Have a fantastic day, all. Talk to you soon. And you know what? Brian and Ryan, go check out Shooks and Giff. And hey, give a listen to my podcast too, because it might inspire you to get out and listen to some more podcasts. Okay, peace out, guys. And thanks, Jen. Bye-bye. Hey PLN, it's January 26, 2021, and this morning I'm out here for Fresh Air at 5. It's minus 1 degree Celsius, slight breeze, beautiful day under high cloud skies, and we are walking and learning and listening. So this morning as I'm walking around this block, there's a new kid on the block, just joined the block. Well, the block that I'm talking about is my podcast library block. As I listen to podcasts, I've got my rotation, but the new kid on the block is Dave Burgess. Dave Burgess, welcome to the podcasting realm. I'm a new kid on the block as well, and I understand it's been many years in the making for yourself and being pushed and challenged by many in your space to put out a podcast. Well, Dave Burgess, I listened to episode 1 this morning of the Dave Burgess Show. So it's all consistent, easy branding. It's your name. And you know what, Dave? You're a master of communication. I like what you had to say in your short 20-minute intro episode of your show about what you're going to talk about. I got some things like pay attention to what's outside of your subject area. Pay attention to what other people are doing, because it might make a difference in the way you think about your industry. So as a teacher, I need to pay attention to business. I need to pay attention to science. I need to pay attention to fitness and health as I prepare to be a teacher every day. Another thing that I got out of your podcast was about relevance. Taking something and making it relevant to students. I can't talk about the ancients and all the historical scientists, and so what if I don't make it relevant to today of why they did what they did. You know, the Spanish Revolution is a history student. I never learned that. I'm glad I didn't, but how does that matter, and what does it make a difference to politics and culture and society today? Dave Burgess, thank you so much for dropping this episode. I've hit subscribe. People, go subscribe to the Dave Burgess Show. Dave's got some stuff to bring, and don't listen to it at double time. Not even a chance. Bye-bye. One more thing, January 26, 2021. I just finished listening to episode 188 of Chris Wood's Daily STEM podcast. And thanks, Chris, for having on this episode Miriam Tocino of she's from Spain, and she's an author, and her website is zurusandona.com, and you should check out the show notes for the resources that she provides. She talks about children's books that she has written in the interest of allowing young people to experience and see inside computers, that computers are made up of zeros and ones, and these little characters in her book are there to inspire young people, young, like toddlers, through bedtime story type reading to experience computer science. Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Have a fantastic day. Thank you, Miriam, for sharing. Okay, bye-bye. It was a couple summers ago that Chris Woods reached out to me through Twitter and said, "Hey, Bryon, are you branding yourself?" I had my FreshAirAtFive walking hashtag going on, and he says, "Do you have that as a handle?" And he asked me some questions about that. And Chris, I want to thank you for pushing me back in those days to encourage me to brand FreshAirAtFive as a handle on Twitter and get that to be my brand. Appreciate it so much. I am going to, continue to encourage others to do similar kinds of things. And so, Chris, you made a difference in my life. Appreciate it. Bye-bye. One more thing, January 26, 2021. And as I'm wrapping up my FreshAirAtFive walk this morning, I listened to my third listen of learning, which was episode 4 of the Good News, Bad News show, as he talks with educator Michelle Clark, who's known as the Cardboard High Five educator. And Michelle, thank you for sharing your story in your journey of that pizza box that one Sunday night as you developed the Cardboard High Five with your students and brought social connection to a distance classroom as students need to stay 6 feet apart. Fantastic. Take a look at Michelle Clark's Twitter post. There's a pin there about posts about her cardboard high five with a student and how that has made a difference in students' lives around the world. All right, excellent. Brad, you're doing a great job with your show. Inspiring. And you know what? We need to think outside of the right now and look at what's around us, like that pizza box, to inspire us to do things we haven't done before. All right, have a great day, everybody. That's it for Carpenter, signing off for Tuesday. Okay, bye-bye. Good Good morning, PLN. It's January 27th, 2021, and I'm out here for Fresh Air at 5 this morning. And as I was getting ready to head out the door, I had to plan my Fresh Air at 5 listen so that I could make sure I could listen in time to all of the content and then to be able to get my recording done before I go back for my walk, because that's part of my Fresh Air at 5 rules. Very rarely do I record anywhere else at this point. So in order to do so and achieve a listen in a timely manner, sometimes I need to double speed or 1.5 times speed my podcast playback. Now, there are certain podcasts that I listen to. A new one that from yesterday was the Dave Burgess show. It's Dave's first show, and there was not a chance in the world that I can double speed Dave Burgess, because he's already talking at double speed. Another person I can't double speed is Jen Giffen, because she talks really fast and gets a lot of content over in a short period of time. So that didn't work. But this morning, I know that Jake Miller is not a slow talker, but he just talks at a normal speed, and his guests talk at a normal speed. So I double speeded the conversation that he had this morning on episode 53 of Educational Duct Tape Podcast with James Varlak out of Texas, as they talked about developing, engaging learning, and how they talked about how they can use different tools and strategies in their classrooms to get students to engage. One of those things is to have a how are you question at the beginning of the day, have a problem of the day question, have things like that. Something I do in my space is that I have a would you rather, and Jake, I took this from your idea, but I call it would you rather, and I put a would you rather question up. It's goofy, and I let the kids see the response. It's one thing. There is emotional, cognitive, and behavioral engagement that we need to do. Master a good tool and get good at that. That's all. Take a listen. Bye. One more thing for January 27th, 2021. Okay, I couldn't let it go. I was talking about rushing at the end of my last segment, and so I got to fill in some gaps. The emotional, cognitive, and behavioral engagement are important parts of engaging students in your classroom. And how do you do that? You can't be that engaging teacher without relationship. I mean, engagement helps build relationship, but I think relationship is the most important part of engagement. And being possibly vulnerable as a teacher and sharing part of your personal life. I do that, and my kids respond well to that. That was really good. So, what else? That was my one more thing. Oh, and as far as all the tools that we heard James Varlak and Jake Miller talk about in this episode of Educational Duct Tape, know that there's a boatload of them that they talked about, and you can't be good at all of them. So I encourage you, like Jake and James did, is find a tool that will meet your need for right now, become a master of that for that tool specific need, and then beyond that, once you've mastered it, exploit it, have your students get good at it, and then explore more beyond that. All right, that's it. That's one more thing. January 27th, 2021. Happy day. Bye-bye. Hey, PLN, it's Thursday, January 28th, 2021. Out here for Fresh Air at 5 this morning. I came out, and the high clouds, actually they weren't so high, they were a little lower, were reflecting the light of the city, and it wasn't completely dark this morning. The moon is behind them. That probably helps. So it was actually quite a very nice walk this morning. About 2 degrees Celsius, on the verge of snow, but it hasn't happened here yet this week. So I'm thankful for that. All right, as I come up here, I want to share with you an interview that I listened to on the Principal Leadership Lab podcast with Adam and Jeff. And honestly, right now, I don't even know their last names, but I'm going to look them up and include them in the tweet here so that we can connect. And it was episode 41 as they interviewed Canadian teacher leader Livia Chan. And Livia and I our paths recently crossed a bit ago on Teachers on Fire Roundtable discussion for One Word 2021. And so, Olivia, good to cross paths with you again. It's super good. And you know what? Hearing your story about your development and your growth and stepping into the head teacher role and trying to figure out that dichotomy of roles and the challenge that it faces and the joy it faces. Fantastic. You know what? I'm an aspiring leader in my district and haven't been given the nod yet to step into admin. I've had an opportunity on a couple of occasions to sit in an acting VP role for a little bit of time, but nothing's taken. But that's okay. The time will come. All right, things I heard Livia say with Adam and Jeff this morning were that we have to get kids from their comfort zone into the stretchy zone, and that's so important. Another thing I heard you say is about talking about opportunities and obstacles and challenges, and I've got a quote that says, every obstacle is an opportunity waiting to happen. All right, PLN, have a great day. Take a listen. Bye. One more thing for January 28, 2021. Well, I was listening to Principal Leadership Lab with Jeff and Adam, and episode 41 as they're talking to Livia Chan here from British Columbia, and they were talking about how they remember the things they hear on their podcasts. And I want to say that Livia has a Google form that she said she fills out after she listens, so she has a record in a Google sheet about some of the learning that she has done. Fantastic, Livia. That's great. And either Jeff or Adam said that they use the notes feature in Voxer to record a voice note because he's out running, and when he gets home, he'll never be able to remember those things, and so that's a great way. So find a note-taking tool for yourself. What do? I pull up my phone here, and I record my thoughts as I finish off my walk, and now that's spun into a podcast. So Fresh Air at 5 podcast is a compilation of a week's worth of listening reflections from my early morning walks as I get some exercise and before I walk in the door, which is just over there. And I put it together. So episode number 4 is coming out this Friday at midnight if you want to take a listen. And it's just my thoughts and my way of remembering and reflecting on the learning that I do in the morning. So that's my one more thing. Shameless plug for my podcast, Fresh Air at 5. You can find it on Apple Podcast, Overcast, Castbox, Spotify, and Anchor FM right now. Or just check me out on BryonCarpenter.com, BRYON Carpenter.com. All right, thanks all, and thanks for sharing your tips for recording your learning, Livia and Adam and Jeff. All right, talk to you guys. Bye-bye. Good morning, PLN. It's Friday, January 29th, 2021, and I'm out here for Fresh Air at 5, and it's right at 5 o'clock this morning as I'm stepping out the door to go for my walk. Well, I want to follow up on a thought I had from just a moment ago. If you're listening on the podcast, or from yesterday afternoon, if you saw it on Twitter, where I was listening to My EdTech Life with Fonz, and he was talking with Daria and Ina about augmented reality and how VR and AR are a good possible learning opportunity. And I commented and said that, it's about the technology and about making it accessible, I think, is what I just said. So I put it on Twitter, and Fonz got back to me, and he said, "Hey, Bryon," he says, "if I can help, I'd be glad to help." So he directed me to episode 6 of My EdTech Life, where he talked with Stephanie Lyons. And last night, while I was sitting and tying some flies for fishing this spring, I listened to My EdTech Life episode 6 with Stephanie Lyons of MergeCube. And she was talking about how MergeCube is a tool. I think I've seen a MergeCube before, but still, until it's relevant, it's not relevant. You can see all these tools, but until you need to know about it and implement it, it's it's a fun thing. So anyhow, I listened to Stephanie Lyons talk about MergeCube and how their platform makes it possible for kids to hold and touch and see things in their hand in the form of this cube, but when it comes alive on the screen is something completely different. So they can experience and hear and see and take videos of these different objects and things like that. So I'm going to look into that, and thank you so much, Fonz, for pointing me in the direction of Stephanie Lyons. We will look into this and dig into some AR, VR. Thanks. Okay, bye-bye. One more thing, January 29, 2021. This is the first podcast today that I've listened to, and I listened to Overthrowing Education with Bathsheba Frankel as she interviewed Jared McGee on episode 40. Congratulations, Bathsheba, for episode 40. My podcast, I've had 4 episodes come out of FreshAirAtFive to this point, and actually it's coming out tonight at midnight. So I'm just behind you a bit, but you know what? Those round numbers are really awesome, and so congratulations on making it to 40. I'm looking forward to keeping on listening. All right, this morning as I listened to Jared McGee and Bathsheba Frankel talk about their schools, and they go to similar kinds of schools where they have significant project-based learning and relevant learning for students with small class sizes. Sounds like an educator's dream. That's fantastic how you can work in such a space in a private school setting. Pretty cool. This public educator kind of has that opportunity this year with COVID. We've got class sizes in my face-to-face up to 9 and 10 students. So we do get to spend quite a bit of time with each student, but it's only for 1 day a week. So it's different, but hey, I appreciate the smaller than larger class size. All right, what am I thinking about? I like how you and Jared talked about all these subtleties of this, you know, the difference in Jared's Massachusetts campus compared to the Brooklyn, New York campus. One is a boarding school compared to, one is an urban school in town, and different levels of access for those things. And it's really cool to hear stories. This is one thing I like about doing my FreshAirAtFive walks in the morning and listening to podcasts, is you never know what you're going to hear, and it expands my mind to think beyond right now. All right, thanks Bathsheba for challenging us, and I look forward to your next episode coming up probably in a couple weeks. Have a great day. Bye. One more thing for January 29th, 2021. This is the last segment for episode 5 of FreshAirAtFive that's going to be dropping on February 5th at midnight, which is a week from today. And so this is the last episode, or last segment of that episode. And so I thank you for taking a listen. If you haven't listened to my podcast, you might find it curious. I walk along the street in the morning, and as I listen and reflect on the learning that I'm doing from these podcasts, this is kind of my way of like video journaling and reflecting and recording. And I heard this past week, Adam and I can't remember his name, Dan, on the Principal Leadership Lab, talk about how they record their learning. And this is the way that I'm doing it. I'm taking and holding my phone up and recording a video, and then I share that with you on Twitter as a video, but later I put it all together as a podcast and share my learning with you that way. I hope that I've inspired you to take a listen to some podcasts maybe that you haven't listened to. Need some ideas for educational podcasts? Well, these are my ideas. And these are the ones that I have come across, sometimes stumbled upon, but you know what? I like sharing, and I think that sharing is an opportunity for us to grow if we pay attention to what others are doing. Thanks so much for following along. You can follow my podcast on Apple Podcast, Overcast, CastBox, Spotify, Anchor FM, or go to my website, BryonCarpenter.com. Want to leave me a message? Head over to Anchor FM and look me up as FreshAirAtFive there, and leave me a voice message with your thoughts, or just simply drop me a tweet at Bryon Carr or at FreshAirAtFive. Have a fantastic day. We'll talk to you later, and happy Friday. It's Pro D, so I'm going to go learn some things today. Super excited about that with my colleagues. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
As my one word for 2020 is appreciate, I appreciate you giving me a listen for the very first time as I've created a podcast experience for you to listen to. Subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes, and please give me a review on Apple Podcasts to get my voice out there further.